I've got to start editing that little hair toss at the beginning out. Tonight I wanted to talk a little bit about form versus function. And the reason I wanted to talk about that is that a lot of times we see computer equipment, Apple really comes to mind, or software that looks beautiful and doesn't necessarily do the job that you want it to do. And so I was talking to a friend about this the other day. We were talking a little bit about specifically about Apple. As it happens, I don't own any Apple products. Probably will never own any Apple products. I think they're overpriced, and I think they don't provide the services or the quality of actual service that I need for the price that I'm paying. But it just happens that Steve Jobs, his degree and his experience before he got into computers was in architecture. He is very much, or was very much, a form person. It was very much about making it look pretty. Silicon Valley really seems to be very much about whether or not something is pretty and less so about whether or not it works. So I was looking at Xero software. I do actually like Xero software. They advertise a lot about their bank feeds, and their bank feeds being very useful to bookkeepers. And when they work, they're amazing when they work. They break all the time, and that's kind of a problem. And so I was thinking about that, and I was talking to my friend about it, and he said, they advertise, let's do beautiful business. And I said, well, the beauty that I see in business is money in the bank. That's what I see. That's what I think it should be beautiful. I don't want to pay too much for something that doesn't work as well as I would expect it to work. Now, am I live on Facebook? I don't know that I'm even live on Facebook. Did I get the feed? Doesn't seem to be. Let's take a break and try this again. Take two. Let's see if I managed to get live on Facebook. Thought I had it. And that's yesterday's video. It's kind of what I'm waiting for. I like to share my business videos to my personal timeline. And it's not showing. Let's see. Let's try one more time. No, I stopped. Okay. Uno momento. Well, I guess I forgot to share this actually to my page and not to my personal timeline. Maybe that was the problem. Technical difficulties. Woohoo! There it is. Okay, let's share that. So, form versus function. What is more important? I was looking at, I have a lot of friends that really, really like Apple products. They love everything about it, which is wonderful if they do. I remember looking at the Macintosh when it first came out in 1984, so I'm totally dating myself. And I liked it. I liked the GUI. I liked the mouse. This was revolutionary. It was absolutely wonderful. And then Bill Gates entered the market. The catch is that Steve Jobs's, or Apple's niche market really was a niche. They were only after about 3% market share, and that is what they have. A little bit higher with the iPhone. I know a lot more people that have iPhones but don't have Apple computers. They don't have MacBooks. They don't have iMacs. And part of the reason is that they're priced out of most people's price range. I'm going to give you a little bit of an example. They have very, very pretty MacBooks. Very pretty, very thin, very much a pain in the neck to actually do any work on. And I'm probably going to get some hate for this video, but that's okay. This is just my opinion. This is not gospel truth or anything like that. Every time I have tried to use an Apple computer, I have left frustrated. Every time I've used a Windows computer, and granted, I use Windows all the time. I use Windows because I can buy an HP laptop for $300, maybe $5. I can get a top-of-the-line gaming computer with all of the bells and whistles and a keyboard that has a backlight for $1,500. You can't get a MacBook for less than $3,000. And you know, what am I really looking for? Am I looking for something that is going to be durable and is going to deal with the wear and tear and is going to perform what I want it to do at a reasonable price? Or am I looking to have a logo on the back of my computer screen? Now, I've always been this way, just so you know. I didn't buy anything designer until I was well into my 40s. I don't do designers. I don't care about having a label on my jeans. I don't care about having anyone's name on my butt, so to speak. I care about, does it look good, to an extent. I don't care if it's, you know, if it's Apple. What makes Apple or anything else that emphasizes form over function, what makes it better? Now, there is kind of to an extent on that. And this, by the way, this is not meant to bash Apple. This is kind of to say, if you're looking to buy something pretty that has a practical use, sometimes we buy things just because they're pretty, because as human beings, we have the need to have beautiful things around us. I mean, that's why flowers exist, really. It's to bring beauty to the earth. But I have seen people spend twice as much money on a minimum pretty product that ends up being difficult to work with. One of the softwares that I really do like it, but I think that it emphasizes form over function, and that is Xero. And to a lesser extent, even QuickBooks. QuickBooks was developed basically to be an online or a checkbook. That was all. It started out just being a checkbook. I remember when it started getting market share in the late 90s. The name was purchased by Intuit in 97, and I started working with it in 99. And it seems like they add some functionality and they take some away, and the ones they take away are the ones I always used. And now everything's kind of back. But I was kind of chuckling at the first of the year when they said, oh, we're rolling out this huge new update for our QuickBooks Online. And I looked at it and said, you changed the font and you updated your logo. That's not a huge new update. What I look for, the first thing I want to know is, does it work? Does it work? Does it work consistently? Does it work well? Does it work with a lot of bloatware if you have a phone or a name brand laptop? I have an HP laptop and it's loaded. I'm right in the middle of taking a whole bunch of programs off because I didn't put them on there. I don't want them and I don't need them. They just kind of come with the HP name. They have connected music. I'm like, oh, I have Windows Media Player on my PC. The first thing I want to know is, does it work? If it doesn't work, I don't care how pretty it is. That's the first thing I want to know. The second thing I want to know is, does it meet my needs? I have both a desktop computer. I have 2 large monitors. I'm thinking about getting a third one because that's what meets my needs. And it does not really meet my needs to spend extra money on something that just looks pretty, unless that's my goal. I'm not an especially aesthetic person. I like to look nice and I like to have nice things around me, but the first thing I want to know is, does it work? And then if it works and it looks nice, it's great. But for some things, I really don't care how it works. Xero's motto is, let's do beautiful business. And my motto is, the most beautiful business thing you can ever give me is money in the bank. I love the color green. I love the color gold because that represents money to me. And so if it's not bringing me money, if it's not creating value, I don't really care how pretty a piece of software is. I do know that I was talking a little bit ago about Steve Jobs. I remember when Apple was started, and like I said, I'm totally dating myself. I remember when Apple was started, and I remember that I liked Steve Wozniak much better than I liked Steve Jobs. I thought Jobs was kind of a jerk. I still think Jobs is kind of a jerk. And I couldn't figure out what it was that people were so drawn to about it. I've read his biographies. I've read 2 or 3 different biographies of Steve Jobs because I always am looking for information about successful business people because I want to be one of them. And so I read a lot of business books and I read biographies of successful business people. I think the Kindle was the greatest invention ever made, followed very quickly by Google Play Books. I have probably 2,500 books so far on my Kindle, between my Kindle and my Google Play account, and I'm going to have to open another Google Play account to get all of my books on there because there's 1,000 book limit, and I've maxed it out. I am just hungry for knowledge all of the time. That's just kind of how I am. It's how I've always been. And so I look at successful people, and we know that success leaves clues. And I guess maybe the clue is that you can be a jerk and still be successful if you make pretty things. For a while, Apple had the reputation of being more stable than Windows, but I would kind of look at it and go, but I'm a computer guru. I'm a computer person. I would rather have more memory, a more powerful hard drive. I would, for the price of an iMac, as pretty as they are, I could have a desktop tower, 3 monitors, a solid state hard drive, a mechanical hard drive, maybe another mechanical hard drive. I could have gigabytes or terabytes upon terabytes, you know, of space. And that's what I'm after. I don't sit down at my computer to judge its aesthetics. There are other things that I have around me to judge its aesthetics. Obviously, it's not here, but there are things that I have around me that I have them around simply because they're pretty. And computer's not one of them. My point is, people will always talk a good game. And I've met many people like that where they talk the talk. And it's all about form, and it's all about how good it looks. And it's nothing at all about the substance underneath. Like I said, I have nothing against Apple. I think Steve Wozniak was a wonderful computer developer. I think there were Apple did a lot of innovations that have been copied, and I'm thankful for that. But I don't think they're the be-all, end-all by any means. And in order for me to spend that much more money for a computer or a phone or anything electronic like that, it has to do much more for me than it does. Kind of one of the things I've noticed with different computers is that, especially we have the Windows people, and that's 97% of the market. We have the Apple people, and that's like 2.8% of the market. And then there's the Linux, Unix, miscellaneous other OSs, and that's like 0.2% of the market. Most people don't mess around with Linux or Unix. I mean, we kind of use it. My web host runs Linux or Unix. I think it's Linux. You know, and I appreciate Linus Torvald and for all of his contributions, and I love that it's open source, but I keep coming back to Windows. Why? Is it an inherently better system? No, but it works well, and it costs less. It's just fine. Apple, one of the reasons Apple is so expensive, by the way, is that they don't let just anybody put an app up on the Apple Store. They have to take it apart, and they have to make sure it works, and I'm like, I'm plenty smart enough to be able to figure that out for myself. If something meets my needs, then I can figure out how to use it. If it doesn't meet my needs, I'm going to figure that out pretty quickly. And if it gives me a virus, well, I have software for that. And I'm pretty smart. I've never had a virus on my computer I couldn't get rid of. Yeah. I know I was going somewhere with this, by the way. I have got to start scripting my videos. You want to make sure that the people that you associate with are actually walking the walk and not just talking the talk. I do know, going back to accounting, I do know accountants that have, bachelor's degrees, associate's degrees, bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, even PhDs. And they know less about accounting than your average bookkeeper who's been kind of on the front lines for years. I know people in the accounting world that love to talk a really good game, but when the rubber meets the road, they really don't know what they're talking about, and they're too proud to admit it. Fortunately, that's never happened with the companies that I've worked with. Those have always been outside accountants. And I've just seen it over and over, people not upholding their end of the deal or upholding their end of the bargain, or giving attitude when attitude isn't called for. Excuse me. I don't know if that's just a millennial thing. So yeah, before you choose something for its looks, choose something for what's on the inside. And if it works, and if it creates value, and especially if you're talking about people that work for your company, you want the ones that care. You can't train caring. You can't train that into people. They have to kind of come on board with attitude and caring and joy. And when you find someone like that, you don't get rid of them. And you know what? We all go through dark times and tough times. And if you find someone that cares about your business, that really, really cares about your business, you need to kind of hang on to them. Again, it's kind of form over function. You choose the form, and the kind of people that I would think that as an entrepreneur, the kind of people I want around me are the ones that care. The ones that care deeply about their success, for sure, but also mine. If they care about my business and they care about my success, then I am automatically, first of all, those are the people I want around me. And second of all, those are the people I want working for me. Because if they care about my company and they're working for me, we're going to go places. We're going to have exciting growth. But if they don't care, they're going to do the bare minimums. And it doesn't matter how skilled they are. I can teach skill. I can teach skill. I can teach debits and credits. I can teach QuickBooks. I can teach Xero. I can teach GNU Cash. I can teach whatever software. I can teach Intacct and Nexonia. I can't teach caring, and I can't teach attitude, and I can't teach friendliness, and I can't teach work ethic. So, so it doesn't matter how nice the resume is. Those are the things that I'm genuinely looking for. Sometimes I'm also looking for skills, because sometimes I don't have time to do much training. But the kind of people that I want working for me in my companies are people with good attitudes, who care about the company, who want it to succeed, the kind of people that continue to send helpful information even after they leave, the kind of people that put in overtime because it's just necessary, the kind of people that just make sure the job gets done. Because you know what? If you're one of those people that just makes sure that the job gets done, you are one of the people that will succeed. You will absolutely succeed. You almost won't be able to help it. And you need to value yourself. That's kind of a note to myself. Value yourself and value your time. I remember another topic that I was going to talk about tomorrow, but I think I'm going to change that up. I've kind of got some ideas kind of percolating in the back of my head that I want to kind of clarify. And one of them is What value does an accountant or a bookkeeper bring to your business? I've talked at some point, I've talked about my experience and what I can do. And I thought about it, and admittedly, I got an email from a CPA firm that I actually signed up to get these emails. I was interested in what they had to say about the death of the CPA. They say that the CPA is going under. I want to talk about that tomorrow. That's what I really want to talk about tomorrow. And what kind of value bookkeepers bring, accountants, any kind of accounting professional, what value they actually bring to your business. So let's talk about that tomorrow. And I will look forward to talking to you then. Have a wonderful evening.